one more time anyway. So that's fine. So okay, yeah, Bharti, you can start here.
Fine. Good evening, everyone, and I'm Bharti Longovan, working as a technical in Mindtree, and I have around 10 plus years of experience working in SharePoint and around 2 years of in Power Platform and so. So, welcome to the session, and I have my Twitter and LinkedIn profile updated here. You can follow me. Thank you. Over to you, Manoj.
Thanks. Okay, for starting, so this is the high level agenda. So looks like quite big. So we'll try our best to cover as much as possible as we have 1 hour time permits for us. So I will just give you the walkthrough. So for the interest of time, so you will get aligned how the slides and how the demo will going through entire 1 hour. So we'll talk about the project Octale. So this is something new. What the in the Ignite the Microsoft has released. So what is Project Octale and how we can use in Microsoft Teams? So we'll give the demo about the Project Octale. Then we'll talk about the Power Automate, the new desktop RPA solution. So that is quite a long time available in the system RPA solutions using the Power Automate, but something new features. They have released the desktop version. So we'll just showcase the demo on that section. And then we have a Power Virtual Agent as well as the Bot Composer. So earlier both were the two different components and quite rich in terms of the bot activity. So in this Ignite, they have released something we can use the Bot Composers visual designs directly into the virtual agent. So I will just showcase those sections. So it's just one more cautious, like we not all the things is available in all the talent and released, but whatever is not there, we'll just show the screenshots and how it's going to release and how we can achieve it after getting released. And then the Power BI update with the teams basically on the licensing, and the Power BI has released their own pipelines. All those things will just showcase by the screenshots and the zip files. And then a demo on the Azure API management connector. So basically what this once if we need to connect with a legacy system, so Power App has a limited connectors. There's a lot of connectors available, but there are some legacy systems still we need to connect our Power Platform. So we can use the Azure API management via the if we can create our own APIs and we can connect via API management to the Power Platform. How we can do the small demo on that. And if we have Azure SQL, which we are storing the data, and if we need to just connect with the Power App, so how quickly we can build a UI to do the CRUD operations on the tables data. And then last one is the GitHub Actions for the Power Platform update. So these are the few updates which has released in the last Ignite. So let's start. So here is the new icon. So first of all, starting with a new icon. So whatever the earlier icons was there respect to the Power BI, Power App, Power Automate, and the Power Virtual Agent, now it has changed. So this is the new icon. So once you are using in your presentations or in your workaround, so please go through the Googles and take the new icon instead of the old one. So that has publicly available in the Google. So you will get all the new icons. Okay, now start with the project Octale. Okay, so the project Octale, it's just like deliver a building and low code platform for the Microsoft Teams. So this terminology basically looks a little different, but if you see, so what on the high level it says, so all the Power Platform component they have integrated with their teams, and now we can seamlessly within a team itself we can create and launch our applications like the Power App, MS Flow, Power BI, and all those activity. So no need to go outside the teams. So earlier when we need to do, we are going to create a Power App applications at the powerapps.microsoft.com once it's ready, and we are taking the URLs and embedding into the teams. So now no need to go as a separate. So whatever it was earlier, it still exists and hold good. But now no need to go into the separate URL within a team itself. We can create our own Power App application, and we can build, we can design, we can do everything there. So Project Octale is not only that thing. So once we are using creating the Power Platform applications like the Power App, so what happened behind the scenes, how where the data storage come into picture? Because in the once we're talking about on the separate URL powerapp.microsoft.com, we have a lot of connectors available which we are going to use to connect the application. But here is not that the case. Here is just tightly coupled with a CDS. and which gives a certain limit of the storage free of cost with respect to the licensed user, which is having Teams license user. No separate license also required. So we'll go through the slides and we'll get more details on the project Octal, what it is, and you will definitely get the more rich insights. So it provides a relational data storage. So if you talk about relational data storage, then only come into the picture, are they using the SharePoint? No, SharePoint doesn't have a relational database exist. It's a flat, like it's a different list is there. We can't create a relationship. So CDS is that one which we can where we can define the relationships and the rich data types, enterprise grade governance, and one click solution deployment. Definitely no need to navigate and go out of the team context. In one Teams platform itself, we can do everything. So that's is called the project Octal. Okay, so here are the quite benefits and the features of the project Octal, what it supports. The project Octal supports the build the low code and no code apps, as well as the flows we can create within the Teams itself, chatbot using the Power Virtual Agents, and it has a storage of the rich data type, relational data type capability. One click solutions deployment is there within the Teams itself. No need to navigate multiple place, export, import, and do all these solutions. So it's there. And if you see the third point, right, new visual editors. So there is a visual editor exists within a Teams itself. We can go and navigate to the build section. Their entire visualizations will come how the powerapps.microsoft.com. Same data we can perform there, and we can get the team context also there out of the box. And then the question comes for the couple of people who keep asking, like, what the license? If this project Octal as a new thing has came into the market, into the Teams area, and how this licensing is vary. So this licensing, as of now, this is in public preview, not GA. So they have given what are the user having a team licensing, and same it's inclusions in the most existing team licensing. No separate licensing required. So once it's a GA, then might be the more details will come out. And for the storage point of view, if it's not using the SharePoint, and CDS always come for a cost. So what's the storage capacity comes for that particular app if I'm going to create? So it's not only the UI, something you need to store in the backend also for storage purpose, right? So for the storage purpose, they say they are giving the 2 GB per tenant. They are giving the storage capacity, or 1 million rows we can create. If you're creating any of the table structures which is having the rich data like images or other stuff, so the size of the particular data storage will be the 2 GB or the 1 million rows maximum. As of now, it's available, which we can use. And the last point, it's not visible here, is like support for a 500 teams in a one particular tenant we can create with this project Octal. Or in a 500 teams, we can use the project Octal. Okay, and this is on a high level, what's the environment specification. So project Octal, basically once we start the project Octal or we create any app within a teams, it's create their own environment within a teams. It didn't use existing environment what my team is having. So it's create their own. If we go to the Power Apps admin centers, because each Power App having their own environments there, and if we create using the project Octal, it's create their own team-based environment with their own storage capacity. And it comes like that. If you see the comparisons here, so the environment life cycles for the project Octal and the CDS. So each environment is going to create as per the team. If we are creating one new team, and then one environment will also get created for that. But if we are having a CDS, we can create unlimited. Similarly, for the what's the maximum size of data we can store it here, 1 million rows or a 2 GB of the data. But if you're using the CDS, which is having the 4 terabytes, so that is comes for a cost. It's a separate premium one. So those pricings will come little later on the more details here. And then we have a promote to the common data services. So yes, so definitely they are saying the common data services more promoting. So that is this is because of they are promoting the CDS more into this section. Okay, so let's me move it further. We'll see here. Okay, so let me jump to the demo, and sorry, little bit disturbance will be there in the backend. Some future has started, so okay, so bear with me on that for a couple of minutes. So okay, so for the demo purpose, what's the project Octale? I'll move to the one of the VM. So this I have logged in with one of the users. So let me create a one team, and we'll show how it's work here. So I will just go to the create team, and I will just click build team from the scratch. I will use a public team here. I'll just give the name here, recap sessions as we are doing here, recap recap demo 04 something, and I just click on the create. So it will take couple of seconds. The teams will get ready. Yeah, I'll no need to add any member as of now here. So our teams is ready here, right? So now till here it's just like a basic features we all knows. Once we are creating a team and all these channels and tabs will start coming up here, and what's the new is here. Now the question is come back again. So once we go back here, so you can see, you can search here. So here is coming as a power app as a icon because I have already used its ping. So you can guys can go and search it out here. You can get the listing of all the power apps, Power BI. It was not earlier, so it has recently added. So I'll select as a power app. So once I select the power app, it will open the power app entire studio to me. So here I can go, and you can see here the entire the new screens is there. We can create an app. Okay, it will list it down all the apps what I have created. It will shows all the template which exist, and they have given out of box. We can use those template in our team, and what we are going to create here, so that will be specific to the particular teams. Okay, so for example, if I'll go here, click on the new app, and let's see, it will launch. It will ask, so once this app is going to deploy where. So I will just select what the new teams I have created, that is a recap demo. I'll say create. So it will take a couple of minutes, and it will create a power app, and it will give the same interface what we get into the powerapps.microsoft.com. So just wait for a couple of more seconds. Hopefully it should come soon here. Okay. Okay, so in the meantime, I will jump to the admin centers, and we'll see there also what is going to come up here. So I will log in with the same users. So let me go back to this section. So here I have logged into the mix.powerapps.com. So once I refresh this one, so in the meantime, we'll just check it out, the sections. Yep, so it's going to create its make the ready. So here is the two sections what I was just talking about, the home and build. So let it come up. We'll get the more similar features what we are going to create in Power App in the build section itself, and we will find we are not going outside the team context. Within a team only we are doing all the operations. We are creating our app, we are deploying here. But one of the things what we are going to create here, we can't access outside the teams. That one, it's strictly associated with a particular team. If I go to the powerapps.microsoft.com, I will not find this particular app which is going to create here. Okay, so let's go in the back end. So I'm here. We'll go to the admin center. So admin.powerplatform.microsoft.com. So here it will come back, take some time. Yeah. So let it come. Okay, so in the meantime, we'll jump back to the demo again, and we'll see. Yeah, so here it shows the entire designer is there. Okay, so and how we can connect all the data. So we'll just click on the create new table. I'll just create like the event. For example, I give any of the name events 01. 01 events. It will create a new table for us, and in that table we can create all the columns and all the operations, show heights, whatever we need to do. I'll just rename this particular column name. I'll just put it as an event name. Okay, and I will create one more date, event date. It's just one more column. So here also you will find quite the new enhancements it's come, especially in the date control. So once I say the create, so this is like a one table has came up. So I'll say there is a demo for the Power Platform. This is the one of the event. Okay. So once I click to the date control, so you see, so this of the date control was not available in the Power Platform earlier. So earlier there was a OK button and the cancel buttons. OK button was there. Whenever we are going to select any of the particular day, we need to click on OK. And if you go to the user voice, somebody has raised this concerns also why OK button is required. So this new updates also came with the calendar control. So we can select the date, month, and whatever is required. We'll just click it. The date is get selected here. So similarly for the SharePoint, I will say SharePoint updates. So we have a SharePoint event on this Saturday. I'll just select on this one. Yep. So it's just saving the data. So I'll just get it closed. So once it's get it closed, our entity which is going to create into the CDF, it start appearing here, and it has mapped as because it was the one default entity we have. If we have a multiple entity, we can change our data source here and it will get connected. So it shows all the records here. We can do all the CRUD operations. So till here it's fine. If you need to know the team context, okay. So let me go to the plus signs and add one label also here. So I will just take the label and put it here. We'll see what's the news here. I'll just go and just teams dot. So you'll see all the teams related context features properties start coming here. If you need to talk about the themes, channels, and this team, I'll select this team. Or if we need to know about the group ID, or the display name, so all the properties will appear out of the box here itself. So once I run this particular app, so before running, let me rename. So this also the one of the sections we can rename our app from this section itself. Earlier also that was not there. So I will say the event app. This is also one of the new features here. So I clicked on save, clicked on publish to team. Yep. So it will take a couple of seconds. Yeah, so it will show what are the available channel and to which channels we need to add this Power App. We'll just need to click on the plus sign. It means now it's going to add this particular app to this channel. So once I say the save and close, so no need to do anything. If I'll navigate to the teams, I will find this particular app will be available associated with the journal channel. Okay, let me go there to the teams. So this is the section. We'll see. We'll find here the 01 event app has appeared here. So let it refresh and see how it's look like. Yep. So this section has appeared. So we can do all the CRUD operations what we required here. Yep. We can click on save. We can click the new records need to create. It's just project Cortex. We'll say the event date. So that will be 14. I'll say okay. So that data gets saved. So this is not only to this sections. We can do more to this one. We can create a relational database here. Okay, one more tables and create a lookups and all those things, and we can do the edit the entire screen and get more feature. Now move back to the admin centers. Okay, let me refresh and see here how it's admin center having what the new components came to that one. So now I'm to the admin centers of the Power Platform. So you can see the new teams what I have created. It's create a new environment for that. So it's not taking any existing environment what I have. So this is my organizational one. I'm not using this one. So what are the new teams I'm creating? So Project Octail is creating a new environment for me, right? So if I go to the resources, we'll check the capacity. So it's not taking what my existing capacity. So each teams is having their own capacity, which we discussed, like a 2 GB of the storage or the 1 million records. So let it load here. Oh, it's taking time. Come on. Okay, so let it load. We'll just jump to the next sections. I will just demonstrate once we'll come back. Today network is a little slow here. Okay, so this was just a highlight with respect to the project of Tail. So what it is now, moving to the next one. If you can see here how the Power Automate section. So Power Automate is going to come later this year. It's not fully available here. So as you can see on the screen, so here also the Microsoft Teams, and we can create the actions with respect to the teams, and all like the template available will be available with respect to the team. Any actions need to take, so in the same context we can create. So it will be basically a new app which will include a robust set of easy to use template for some of the most common automation scenarios within a team, right? And another update with respect to the Power Automate itself. So if you see here what it's happening, so there is a small extensions icon in the bottom section. This one, once this is going to click, so this is the approval button. It's for the workflow. Once the users, the particular user is talking with this users, and they will click it here, and they can send the approval request from this form itself, instead of creating a workflow and sending separately and attaching the files and asking for the approval. So this is one of the how we can do the custom approvals within a team with with the Power Automate. So this section is also going to launch, and it will come later this year, not available as of now. And another integrations, what they have announced, like the Adobe Sign and DocuSign. So most of the organization who is using the digital sign document, so that integrations with respect to Power Automate, that is also going to come soon. And yeah, this one, what we have saw how the Power App Studio will looks like into the teams. So that is a new embed Power App Studio, which allow the users to create a custom apps with a simple drag and drop approach, and to add all the elements whatever available on the Power platforms. And these apps can be connected to the existing CDS project of tail data. So like how we are creating here, we can create a multiple tables within an app as our storage limit allow, and we can connect with those one and start using. And this app we can use on the desktop, mobile device, as per our product employees productivity, we can use everywhere. So the next one, so that was the studio point of view. If like we need to add any of the particular existing template which exists, there are a lot of several app solutions is exist, or what we are going to create new one, we can add within a teams itself within a team context. So Power App can also help the professional developers to accelerate their app development process. So basically, you no need to go outside the team context. We are doing everything within a same context where we are. Okay, and the biggest advantage, as you see in the last points, I have mentioned, I have a small demo also on that one. The professional developers means, it means the pro developers. So Power Platform is not only the citizen meant for citizen developers. So if you need to connect with a legacy system, and like we need a pro developers who can build the connectors and can connect with the Power App via the API. So that activity is there in system quite long time, but they have released the new features to that one, how we can manage those API using the Azure API management or the Azure functions within a Power Platform. Now this section is also quite interesting. So the RPA, so the RPA with respect to the desktop and the web is already exist into the Power Automate, but here they have provided the desktop version. So here we can use and do the RPA related operations. So I think Bharti, you can take it for this.
Sure, thanks Manoj. So now let's look at Power Automate's new desktop RPA solution. As we already know, like we have UI flows to build RPA solutions. But now what Power Automate does is like it broadens the existing RPA capabilities, UI flow capabilities with a brand new flow designer. So it gives us a new flow designer, which is actually called as Power Automate Desktop. And we, of course, we still have Selenium ID, Win Automation, which we were using it previously as an extension with UI Flow. It still exists, but apart from these two, they also provide us Power Automate Desktop with, which expands low-code automation for both coders and non-coders. In fact, without writing single line of code, even coders and non-coders can use this desktop to, automate it. And what this desktop actually provides, a lot of it gives intuitive drag and drop visual designer with around 370 plus user friendly actions. Like how we have functions in Win Automation, the same way we have actions to use it here. And with these actions, we can either use those actions to manipulate our automation, or we can use the recorder as well to do our manipulations. So and it also allows us to simulate multiple scenarios with both web and desktop recorders. And it last but not the least, it is easy to troubleshoot, and every action in the script, if it supports no code error and exception handling using this desktop application. So let me quickly jump into the demo for this. Manoj, I'm taking the screen. Hope you all can see my screen now.
Yes, sir, we can.
I've already installed Power Automate Desktop in my system, and if you go to web-based flow, I mean this is browser-based flow.microsoft.com, right, where you will create a UI flows. So when you start creating a UI flow, it actually gives you Power Automate Desktop, Windows Recorder, and Selenium ID. As I was telling you, Windows Recorder and Selenium ID still exist, but I would be covering Power Automate Desktop here on how we can automate using this. So let me close this. I'm not using the browser now. I'm just using the Power Automate Desktop. Let's quickly create a new flow. Say an example. Okay. So let it create. So what I'm going to cover today is like how we'll see how we can extract data, from ebooks on Google Play. It would just take few minutes. Like it'll if you see here, the flow is created now. If you see here in the left hand side, you have a lot of actions that is pre-built. So you can use either of these actions, and you can manipulate your automation, or else you can use web recorder. Let me close this variables. So we have web recorder and desktop recorder. So you can use this recorder as well to automate our flow. So let me quickly go to web recorder, and I have my Google Play Store open here. Okay, now once this web record starts, you'll have to first select which browser you want to use. Since I have it open in Chrome, I'm using Chrome. Okay, click on next. So now it launches your recorder, and if you see, it already have an action opened with action created for the browser. So now let me start recording. So to start with, let me first go to see more, which gives me the list of all the popular free ebooks. So which will give me the complete data. So now I'm going to create 4 elements. One is for the title, and next let us take the author of the book, and maybe next we can take cost, or if it is free, of the book cost is free, or free of cost, or if it is cost oriented, and last we'll take the URL of the ebook. So now I'm done for one item, but then you should not stop with one item. At least another element has to be created for the next item. This will actually give us the complete record. So I'm stopping here. So my recording is done. Let me finish the recording. So now you can see like it creates 3 actions for us. Let's run and see how it works. Before that, let me close this. So now it launches the browser. Okay, so it's done. Now if you can see, under, I mean, for I've created instance for output data, which is a variable, and you can see 550 rows and 4 columns has been generated for this. So 4 columns, which with the elements that we have extracted, and there are 50 ebooks which is actually stored in this variable. So now let me edit and show you how you can, this is, but currently we are storing it on a variable. Suppose in case if you want to have it in Excel spreadsheet, you have as well. So let me store into Excel spreadsheet, save this. So now an Excel instance has been created. Let's run one more time. Okay, cool. So now if you see, all our records has been generated into an Excel, further to which we can manipulate however we want. So this you can save it, or further to it with this instance. With this instance, you can create your own Excel manipulations, and you can use your actions as well to perform. Suppose if you want to extract this data from the Excel and put it into another folder or files to be generated, you can further manipulate this based on your need, and that can be proceeded for based on your requirement as well. Another option to highlight here is you also have a subflow. So you can create a subflow here, say an example subflow 1, and once you save it, it creates another tab for you, and one you can do your subflow actions here, and post which you can add your subflow. You can go and search for the subflow actions here and go to main tab and add this action to the main tab and call your subflow here and save. So this will actually perform your subflows as well. So subflows can be created multiple times in your main workflow and as per your need. So let me quickly show you. I have already created an subflow, workflow with subflows. Let me show you. So what I'm actually doing it here is the same actions. I'm extracting the data from the same Google Play ebooks, and in the subflow, if you see, I'm creating a folder structure in C drive. Currently, if you see in my C drive, I don't have that folder structure with CSV. So it actually creates a CSV folder structure and moves my data into, I'm storing it in a variable, and from the variable, I'm getting the data and putting into a CSV file. So let's run and see. Okay, so now the flow is done. Let's go back to a C drive, and I've given my file path. I've created 2 input variables. If you can see here, it is input file path and folder path. So I'm giving my file path here and folder structure, folder name here. So it will create accordingly. So if you see, I have a CSV folder created here in C drive, and all the data has been extracted in the format of CSV with semicolon separated. So that's a cool feature here, and like you don't need to go to browser, and you can use your own Power Automate desktop to automate it. And also, if you see one more point to highlight here, if I edit, you can see an external name here, which the file path on the name of the file. I mean the name of the variable that you are providing here. This external name is nothing but, suppose if I am not opening my workflow and if I want to run it from here, it actually gives me the input path. So you can provide your input accordingly here and run the flow. So that's all about Power Automate Desktop. Over to you, Manoj. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for this cool demo. Let me share the screen quickly again here. Okay. So before that, I will just go back to the admin centers as I was showing earlier. Admin centers, you see what is the storage of the particular tenant is have. It just shows all the summary. So here you see this is a new features what they have added, the Microsoft Teams capacity usage. So it's not part of other one which has already exhausted. If I click on the Microsoft Team, so whatever I have created like the recap demo 4, so it's just showing we have a 22 GB and we have used 512 MB. That is 25% has exhausted. So why this 25% is came? I just created a one record and one table. So backend it's do a lot of things for us. So basically it's take the space for that activity. They are creating the relationship instances and lot of other things. So it's consume the space for that purpose. Once we are going to create one more tables and creating a relationship, it will not increase that fast as per the data point of view. Okay, so moving to the another section. So it's the Power Virtual Agent. So if you see the Power Virtual Agent, so that is also part of the teams. Within a team itself, we can create a bot using the Power Virtual Agent. So that is the new feature as per the ability of the for the bot to recognize which users they are chatting, and we can provide the personalized user experience. We can make it more rich, this section. Right. So this comes with a bot framework composer. So what the screens you are looking to, this is the Power Virtual Agent, and Power Virtual Agents basically once we are going to create a task, anything here. So this Power Virtual Agent visual editor not having all the not having all the features what the bot framework composer is having. So we can create our own all activities, triggers, all the actions, and we can ship that package and we can import it here. So that features is there. So if you see that actions I import composer topics, so we can create here and we can import and it will come back to this section. So once we click on the import, it will ask for, okay, share me the zip file. So we'll provide the zip file, then entire solutions however will zip into this particular package. So how you saw in the previous screens, the entire section that will not appear because that is part of the entire package. It will start appearing here. Okay, so if I will show you, let me go back to this section again. So here is like how it's look like the Power Virtual Agent. And once we'll go back to the topic. Okay, so let it load. Yeah, so those topics, for example, the site service is one of the topic. Here, design some visualization. So all those cards which is coming here when we are asking the questions and defining the conditions and then some messages. So this having their own limits, what type of actions we can define, what type of triggers. If not that rich, so we have a bot framework composer section. So here we can define as per our requirement. It has a more rich capabilities with respect to the actions and the trigger point. So for example, if we define this one and we complete our package, we can export this package as a zip file. So once it's exported as a zip file, we can import this section, but that features as of now it's not available. It will start appearing here. From here we can import that zip file and it will start appearing this section. So that is the integrations of the bot framework composers with the Power Virtual Agent. Okay, now come back to the Power BI. So Power BI again, it's a part of the team now. It's an enhanced Power BI app for a team, which is publicly available later this year. And it's easy to discover the data, and we can quickly create the visualization from the Excel within a team itself. No need to go outside the team. So that is again, this is a rich feature. So here you see the Power BI premium user license. So licensing model has changed. So I will, instead of going through this section, I will go through the one of the URLs that I have here. Yep. So there they have clearly mentioned. So there are some questions like the licensing model has changed. So basically the Microsoft all licensing keep enhancing every quarter. So the quite new updates came with respect to the Power BI Premium per user license. Earlier we are having a Power BI Pro and Power BI Premium. Now the per user license also came up. So if you just talk about, okay, what is the premium per user license? It's a new way of license premium features on a per user basis. So earlier premium license come for a bulk and admin need to assign who is having the what type of access into the premium. Now the premium per user license also came. So it will include all the pro license. So earlier the pro license is a separate, premium is a separate. Now they say if we are going in a premium, if we are assigning the per user license, then all the pro license capability will come along with the per user license. Then again the questions comes, do I need a Power BI Pro and a Power BI per user license? No, you get all the capabilities of the Power BI Pro with the Power BI Premium per user license. We don't need Power BI Pro separate. If organizational has subscribed for the premium, then premium per user license having all the features of the Power BI Pro. So here they have given the brief charts, what's the difference between the per users and the per capacity one. So with respect to the sizings also, it's limit, it's a 100 GB, it's a 400 up to 400 GB, and all those relationships they have defined. So this is one of the new features they have, or the new pricing policies with respect to the Power BI. Now moving to the next one. So this is a deployment pipeline. So now Power BI also have their own deployment pipelines. So that like the visualization we can build efficiently, and we use those pipeline process by maintaining the development, test, and production environment. Okay, it will really improve the productivity. It will be faster content update delivery, reduce the manual work and other error. And which feature is like incremental refresh support, which was not there. So until now, the publishing the new versions of the Power BI desktop would result in overriding all the data and partitions, and now which require the full refresh of the data to become available again. Now it's an incremental refresh is available. So this issues will go away, and creations of the pipeline from the work page. So here only you will see from the workspace pages only we are creating the pipeline. We are not navigating to any other sections to create our pipelines for deployment purpose. Okay, so this one is again quite cool feature. So how the pro developers can use the Power Platforms, or like if we don't have any connectors available, if my legacy system is accessed and we need to connect my Power App with the legacy system, how we can do. So this is the one small demo also I will give. So before that, so how it's work, basically we can create our own API using the Swagger, and we can integrate our API using the Azure API management. And once we connected with the Azure API management, as you can see here, the Power Platforms we have selected, and we are exporting our this API. So it will create a connectors within a Power App automatically. So no need to worry about for this setting. So we can go to the Power App sections, and we'll just find all the connections is available, and we can easily use those ones. So let me go back and show this section. So for the demo purpose, I have this API is already exists. So let me take it. So I will just run this API. What it is, it will just return the some data into the JSON structure. Yeah, it's Swagger API is access. We can create our own API which take the data from any of the other system which doesn't have a direct connector with the Power Platform. So I'll log into the my portal.azure.com. I will, so from here, let me go back. We can go and create new resources, and we'll see here integration. Here is the API management. So API management is a quite secured way people basically use for the security, versionings, and monetizing point of view also. So once I create my APIs, it's not like I'm directly using as a HTTP call. So go via the API management service, will get lot of features which we can't, which is not available directly on the REST call. So it also exposes a secure REST endpoint on top of our HTTP API. HTTP calls which we are the REST call. So here we can provide all the details. It's a quite straightforward here. The API management service name, we can select our subscriptions, organizational name, and just click on the create. So I have done after nothing need to do here. So after that, so I will open what I have created already. Yeah, so it will come up like that. So here we got the sections of the API. So the two important things is there. One is the API where we need to register our API, and once we publish our API, it will goes to the product. So once it goes to the product, will our API get published, and via the API we can export, and it will create a connector to the Power Platform for us. So let it load, taking some time here. So in the meantime, we'll just go to the Power App sections also. I will just refresh it. It's already there. We'll go to the data and just click on the connection. custom connector. Don't know, but quite slow. Yep. So okay. So as we have an open API is already exists, so I will just take this URL from here. I'll go back. So we can select what type of API we have designed. So it supports the Logic app also, Azure Functions also. So as this is an open API, just we need to select it. This one open API. We'll select the full section. Just give our API what we have, and it will populate all the details from the API Swagger subscription. So accordingly, we can provide the suffix. It's like a conference or something, and then we'll select the product what we have as the conference and click go and create here. So once you click on the create, so you will get your API will get listed here. So once I selected here, so what are the APIs is having all the uh, key functions will start appearing. What the get and post methods you have, it will all start appearing here. So you can test it whether it's working or not. So basically I will just select the get topic here. So once I select it, the HTTP request will go and get your 200 OK. The status is coming here. So that is fine. I'll just go and check the settings if anything is required here. Yep. So it will show all the settings which we have done. The same things I have selected. We are okay. Just a test. So we can test our APIs, what data is going to return. As all these parameters, we are saying the get topic. I will just pass any random ID of the topic and we'll run it. So we'll got the HTTP 200 OK. So this is my what the output is coming. The topic is a design. So we are good to go. That API is working into the API management here. So what the important section here is like this key is important. Once we are going to export this API, then we need to provide the key to the Power Platform section. Okay, so for that section, we'll just select to the API and click on the export. Once you click on the export, so here the Power Platform sections come. So once I click OK, select the Power App and Power Automate section. So it shows which organizational environment we are using, all those, and our API display name. I just select OK, export. Okay, because I have already done, so that's why it's failing. But once I say export, successfully exports will come. So once I will come back to the Power Power App, so my custom connectors will start appearing here. So no need to do anything; it will by default will be available. So I can go and click on Edit and check it out. Yep. So all the details with respect to journal security definition, and we can test here also. So it just says what is required for this API. So what authentications we are using, what's the key. It comes all out of box, no need to do anything here. And it shows all the our the get and post calls are available and what the parameters is required and what the output will come basically. So basically what when you are using those API, we need to provide the payload here. Payload means what my once the data is coming back, what format it is. So those response we can define it here. So accordingly we can get those properties in the Power into the Power App. So once I go click. So here is like this section, my connections is available. Once I go and click on the test. So this is again one of the testing is there. It is an unknown get topic. I'll select something different, type 5. Yep. So this API is if I use in with a custom connector that also returning the data which is coming the design. Now once my connector is available, so we'll create a one Power App and we'll see how to use it. This one. Okay, I'll just go and create a canvas. Okay, I'll go and create a new one. This is the table layout. Yeah. Keep it. Okay. So for the time being, I will just add one leap. Before that, we just need to add the connection here. So we'll just search the demo what we have created. So this one, I will just add the connection. So now dot custom connector, what we have added, it's added as a connection here. So we'll just add the one label, and we'll see how we need to call this section. Okay. Demo conference API dot get topic. You will see all those API functions which we are calling it start appearing here. So let it run. So this is just a status I'm just going to print here. So when we are just getting that data, what type of response we are getting, the 200 okay or not. So those response accordingly we can define our own parameters what we need to show. If we'll just define our payload in the APIs, accordingly all the properties will start appearing, and in that similar fashion we can assign the properties with to the different controls, and our Power App controls will be available. So this is the way how we can connect with the legacy system via the API management. Okay, so before that, now the one more interesting sections is there with respect to Azure. So let me go to the Azure again. So now I will just go to the Azure SQL, and we'll see how we can connect with the Power App from the Azure SQL environment itself. Yeah, so here is my DB. I'll open the Azure SQL database I have created. So if you see in Azure SQL, so the Power Platform also added, all are in preview. We can create a Power BI, we can create a Power App, we can create a Power Automate, all operations what need to perform. So let's go back to the table and see what we have. So it's just a dummy table with a few columns and a couple of records should be there. Slow. Okay, at least we have a one record for this section. So let me click here the Power App. So here these options will come back, get started. So we need to give our app name. Something. Yep. So we'll provide the password. You can select the table, which tables we need to create a Power App form. So that's it. If you can see in the URL, it's navigate to the Power App, and it will create a new form where I can do the more operations and having a more control instead of creating the connections and getting the data. So that is another way how we can connect the Azure SQL with a Power App form. So let it load. So we can run and we can see the data will start appearing here. Yep. So here also, if you see in the context section in that review, the Azure SQL extensions, if I'm creating my any Power App via the Azure API management or from a team, so accordingly that extension and that connections will also come back here. So you see that data will come back. I was having a one record and it's showing what that record. So now we have a full control. We can do the more rich UI. In that section, we can add more control and do the all code operations if required here. Okay, so moving to the next section we have. Yep. So the last but not least, we have a GitHub Actions for the Power Platform. Hardik,
Yeah, Manish. Thanks, Manish. So let's quickly wrap up this GitHub Actions for Power Platform. So if you see, the another Microsoft's big release is actually the GitHub Actions for Power Platform, and yeah, now it's available in Marketplace as well. which actually enables, for professional developers to create their own SDLC workflows using GitHub Actions, and they can easily merge and manage the solutions across environment. It also allows the citizen developers easily create self-serve CI and CD apps. And if you see, GitHub provides you with a connector which enables GitHub integration with the Power Platform, and it also manages various solutions with very easily. So it is easy to and manage all the solutions within GitHub, and if to the complete SDLC is maintained here. And GitHub Action, it doesn't it's not only works with Canvas app and model driven app, it also gives you with Power App, which we can use Power Virtual Agents, UI flows, and traditional flows. In fact, AI builders, custom connectors, and data flow, everything with AI builder, and everything can be integrated into one single solution and can be added to the GitHub Actions. And GitHub Actions, if you see, it is actually available at no cost, but then still subscription is required to utilize those actions. So that's on a higher level about GitHub Actions for Power Platform. So that's it, Manoj.
Yep. Thank you, Bhavin. Yeah, so that's all from our side. So if you guys have any questions, so we can you can post your question in the chat window, or you can unmute and we can talk more on that.
Yeah. So hi, this is Jatin. Actually, I have one question. Like,